to the one who started thinking about it around 3 in the afternoon. Not on purpose. You didn't sit down and decide, I'm just going to do this. It simply just happened. A little door somewhere in the back of your head, leaning toward the end of the day. Glass, the cold of it, that first one, and then you went right back to work. You've done it so many times, it doesn't even register as a thought anymore. It's just the shape of your afternoon. And then you get home, boots off, bag down, keys on the counter, and you pour it. And somewhere in those first couple of swallows, something in your chest lets go. Your shoulders come down an inch, and the noise gets quieter, and you think, there it is. Let me ask you something right now. Wherever you are listening from, where's the drink during your day? Not whether you have one in general, where it sits. Is it something you have, or is it something you're heading towards? Do you know what time it is right now without even looking? Or do you know exactly what's in the fridge? Yeah, that's what I thought. Now, I'm not here to take this from you, and I want you to hear me out on this specifically. Nobody's taking anything. I'm here just to tell you what's actually been happening, because I don't think anyone has ever explained it to you. Honestly, this is once that you're going to hear it from me, and you're going to hear it to understand something about yourself that's been bugging you for years. My name's Andy. Welcome to Unpacked with Calm Up Hypnosis. Last week, I told you we were going to get to this one, the drink at 5, the one that doesn't feel like a problem until it's definitely a problem. And I said this one especially affects the military community, and it does. But if you've never worn a uniform in your life and you still know exactly what this feels like, and you start to think about it, then this one is for you too. Welcome to Unpacked. This show is for those who have been carrying very heavy baggage for a very long time, and it's meant to show you how to slowly unpack some of those things. My name is Andrew Azevedo, but you can call me Andy. I'm a certified hypnotherapist and founder of Calm Ops Hypnosis here in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. My practice is heavily dedicated to people who have been carrying something for a very long time, who have tried everything and still haven't found the thing that actually works. And I want you to understand, I'm not selling you a miracle. I had to learn the hard way through trial and error, same as everybody else. And hypnotherapy is just the thing that made this climb less steep. So now some housekeeping. And I'm not going to rush this one because today matters more than any other episode. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. And I'm definitely not an addiction counselor. Nothing in this episode is a type of treatment, a diagnosis, or medical advice. And here's the part I really want you to hear, not skim past. If you are drinking every single day and your body has become physically dependent on it, then stopping cold alone at home can be very dangerous. I mean, genuinely dangerous. Alcohol is one of the very few things where withdrawal itself can put you in the hospital. I mean, like seizure level type things, a real medical emergency. And that is not a scare tactic, that is just true. So if that's where you are at this moment, a podcast is not your first call. A doctor is. So go get evaluated and do it safely. There's no bravery in doing it the hard way. And if drinking has already taken things from you that you can't get back, like your job, your marriage, your license, and the trust, then this episode is too small for what you're carrying. There is help built specifically for that, and it's free, and it's everywhere. It works, and there's no shame in that room. Resources are in the show notes. This episode is for that person who is a long, long way before all the things I described. Person that nobody worries about, including you. So, real quick, follow the show wherever you're listening. And if you can leave a quick review, it genuinely helps the people who need to hear this first. That's the whole point of a show like this. All right, let me start with the thing that nobody says out loud. The drink works. I mean, it really works. And that's the whole reason why we're even having this conversation. Nobody keeps doing something for 11 years that doesn't work. And let's be honest, you wouldn't even try to do anything for X amount of days if it didn't work. So every article that you read ever about drinking treats it like a mystery, like there's some flaw inside of you, some weakness that makes you reach for it. And when you read that, you think, well, I'm not weak. I run a whole entire department at work. I've raised 3 kids. I mean, I've done harder things before 9 a.m. in the morning than most people will do in their entire work week. So that can't be weakness. And then what's left? Nothing. So you stop thinking about it. You remember last week how I talked about like the gas pedal and the brake? I referred to it specifically as the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Well, the gas is the part of your system that gets you through your day. I mean, it keeps you alert, sharp, scanning, you're ready. And then your brake is the part that brings you back down after. And everybody's got both. They're supposed to kind of like trade off with each other. Well, here's the thing. Alcohol is kind of like your brake. And it's not like a metaphor, but we're talking about it chemically. It works on the same exact system in your brain that your body uses, and it kind of turns it into its own brake. It runs off of this. So when you drink, you're not adding something foreign to your body. You're simply borrowing the pedal that your body already owns and pushing it down harder and faster than your body can do on its own. So think about what that means for just a second. You're not reaching for it because you like the taste. And come on, nobody likes beer the first time they try it. Maybe for some, but usually most don't like it at first. And you're reaching for it because it's the fastest, cheapest, and most socially acceptable break available to humans in this country. I mean, it's at every grocery store. It's at kids' soccer games and fundraisers. It's at, that standard unwinding when you get home and you drink and it's in your fridge. It's a great drink during sports events at your local bar. And it's cheap and it works in 11 minutes. If somebody handed you a button that dropped your shoulders in 11 minutes and caused you to relax, I'm pretty sure you would press it. In fact, You do press it. I mean, you're pressing it every single afternoon at 5 p.m. So why 5 p.m.? Why not noon? Why not 9 in the morning? Well, I chose 5 because that's usually the transition in the afternoon. 5 is when most people are off work, off shift, off site, off the call, off school runs, off whatever version of on you were running all day. And here's the thing about coming off. Nobody ever teaches you how to get, taught that how to shut off or how to be sharp or how to perform. Every single one of us got there through hundreds of lessons on how to turn it on. And same thing, no one ever gets that lesson how to turn it off. It's kind of something that you learn. And I'm one of those people too. So what happens when you get home and your body is still running while the day settles? You're still scanning, you're exhausted and wired at the same time. And that's not even a possibility. I mean, just think about it. You're wired and exhausted at the same time, but you are. Your shoulders are up, your jaw's tight, your blood pressure is probably higher than you would want to know about. And you have no idea because this is just what normal feels like. There's probably a headache somewhere behind your eyes, and your head's got about 40 things going in and out, and you can't hold on to one single thought. And then you walk in, and the dog is losing his mind because you're home. That's it. That's the whole crime. And something in you goes, "Ugh, not right now. Please, not right now." And it makes you feel terrible because it's a dog. It's a dog who's happy to see you. And that's not a character flaw. That's a body with nothing left in it. And underneath the whole evening, the same question is running. When are things going to finally slow down? And your house needs you to be a different person than the day needed you to be. Softer, slower, more present somebody who can hear about a spelling test without their jaw locking or being tense. And you can't get there. There's no ramp. There's no airlock. There's just the door. And on the other side of it, there's supposed to be the off side. And nobody ever built you the thing in between so you can transition. So you built one. And it's in that fridge. That's the whole thing. The 5 o'clock drink is not a moral failure. It's not a mystery. It's a homemade airlock. And I want to be really clear about this. That was smart. That was an intelligent response to a real physical unmet need. Your body needed to come down. Nobody ever gave it away, and you found a way. And okay, so here's where it gets a little bit complicated. Nobody calls this a problem. Not you, not your spouse, not your doctor. And there's a reason for that. It doesn't look like anything alarming. You're not drunk. You've never been drunk on a work night or in your life. You don't miss anything. You're never called out. You're the person that people call when they've got a problem, and you meet that. You're there. But you have 2, maybe 3 a day, and it's the same 2 or the same 3 at the same time every single night. And it has been for how long? And that's the question that lands. Not how much, but for how long? Because when we picture drinking or a drinking problem, we picture rock bottom. We picture that guy on the sidewalk And as long as you don't look like that guy, you're fine. And that's kind of the bargaining, right? You're standing in the kitchen having an argument with yourself like a lawyer. Just one, you know, just one. And you want one. And I should be able to stop after one. And then you pour it. And because you never really actually were negotiating, but that's the picture that is almost entirely in our heads. And it's wrong. And there's federal data that the CDC puts out, and about 70% of American adults who are struggling with alcohol or drugs are employed, working, showing up, holding it together, and in public. The guy on the sidewalk is a tiny sliver of the real picture, and he is the only picture anybody ever shows you. Which means that the picture in your head isn't a warning sign. It's camouflage. It's the thing that lets everybody, including you, look straight at 11 years of nightly ritual. But you call it unwinding. Now, I'm not diagnosing you, and I want to say that clearly. I can't. I don't know you, and I wouldn't want to do that from this microphone. But there's a question they ask in this field that I have never been able to shake. And I'm going to hand it to you. And then get out of the way of this thinking. But do you drink because you have problems? Or do you have problems because you drink? And I want you to just sit with that one question. You don't have to answer it today, but think about it this week. So, at some point, everyone in this situation tries the obvious thing. You cut back. Dry January. Only weekends. Only after Thursday. Only when I'm out. Only 2. And I'm counting this time. And it goes great for about 9 days. And then there's a Tuesday. And Tuesday isn't even a bad day. That's the maddening part about all this. Tuesday is just long. And you're standing in your own kitchen at 5:15 negotiating with yourself like a lawyer. And you're winning the argument. And you know you're winning because you're going to pour it anyways. And then comes the part I actually hate. The part where you decide what that meant about you. Because that's the moment you conclude you have no discipline. You, the person who has done genuinely hard things. And this is the thing you can't beat. A glass, a beer. And listen to me, that is not a discipline problem. You didn't lose an argument with a craving. You lost an argument with a need. And here is the difference. And it's everything. A craving is a want. A need is a system requirement. Your nervous system at the end of that day genuinely needed to come down. And that is not optional. Every body needs to come down or it breaks. And what you did in dry January was a trap. You took away the only break you had and put nothing in its place as a replacement. Of course you went back. Of course you did. You didn't fail. You did the only thing a body under heavy load can do when you take away its only exit. Willpower doesn't lose to weakness. Willpower loses to physiology every time, forever. It's not even a close call. It's going to happen. Now, the second half of this, why the drink stops working even when you know it exactly the same concepts because it does, and you've noticed. 2 used to do what 3 does now, and 3 doesn't quite do what 2 used to. I mean, your body isn't dumb. When you keep pushing the brakes from the outside, your body notices it isn't being asked to press it on its own. And your body is ruthlessly efficient. Anything it isn't using, it stops maintaining. It turns down its own supply. It adapts around the drink. So the dose creeps up slowly, not fast. Nobody notices in a week. You notice it in 5 years if you're paying attention. And most people aren't paying attention. And here's the piece that almost nobody knows. Alcohol doesn't give you calm. It lends it to you. And it charges you interest. When you drink at 5 and go to bed at 10, that alcohol clears your system somewhere in the middle of the night. And when it clears, your nervous system doesn't just come back to normal. It overshoots. All that braking gets released all at once, and your system comes up swinging. Heart rate up, temperature up, brain lit around 3 in the morning. Yes, 3 in the morning. And that's not random. That's not getting older. That's the bill coming due, the bill arriving. And on top of that, alcohol wrecks the actual restorative part of your sleep. It knocks you out fast, which is exactly why everybody thinks it's a sleeping. But sedation is not sleep. You get the unconsciousness without the repair. 8 hours in bed, wake up like you got 4. And then you're tired all day. And tired nervous system is a jumpy nervous system. And a jumpy nervous system needs the brakes more, not less. And there it is. That's the loop. The drink relieves the tension. The relief costs you the sleep. The lost sleep manufactures more tension. And at 5 o'clock the next day, the tension asks for the drink again. It's not a habit. Habit are things you could take or leave. This is a closed circuit. It powers itself and it will run for decades without anybody in that house ever raising their voice about it. I want to tell you about a version of me from a while back. There was a stretch of years where I had 2 drinks every night. Every night. Not 4, not 8, 2. And it's usually the same 2. And it was so consistent and so unremarkable that I could have told you about it at a dinner party and no one would have blinked. I never missed a day of work. I never had a close call. Nobody ever sat me down. Nobody was worried about me. I was the person other people came to when they were struggling. And if you'd asked me, I'd have told you. I just liked winding down. And I'd have said it with a completely straight face because I believed it. And here is what actually was true. I could not get by a day without it. That was the entire function. It wasn't a preference and it wasn't a taste. It was the only bridge I had. And I know that because of what happened when I finally learned another way across, the drink just got quiet. It didn't fight me. It didn't need to be defeated. It stopped mattering because it was never a craving. It was a job. And something else took the job. I didn't have a drinking problem. I had a body that didn't know how to come off mission. And I want to be careful here because I know some of you need to hear the other version too. So for some people, it is the bigger thing, and the bigger thing needs real treatment. And there is nothing weak about that. That takes more guts than what I did, not less. But a whole lot of you aren't there. A whole lot of you are exactly where I was, which is a competent adult with an unmet physical need and one tool. And that is fixable. That's honestly actually fixable. Not by fighting the drink, but by making it unemployed. 3 things you can do tonight, and that's all I'm giving you, because if I give you 9, you'll do 0. And none of these are for you to quit. I'm not asking you to quit anything tonight. Every one of these works whether you drink tonight or not. And that is on purpose. Number 1, build the airlock. 4 minutes between the car and the house, or between the last email and the kitchen, wherever your transition point actually is. And here's the whole thing. You're going to just sit in that space, in the car, in the driveway is honestly perfect. But if you're going to breathe, you're going to do it with a longer exhale than your inhale. In for 4 and out for 8. That ratio is the part that matters, not the numbers, the long breath out. And it's the one thing you can do voluntarily that tells your nervous system to press on its own brake. It is the only manual override you've got, and it's free. And it's in your body right now. 4 minutes, 12, maybe 15 breaths. That's up to you. And then, and this part matters more than people expect, change something physical. Change your shirt, wash your face, take your shoes off at the door, and leave them there. Give your body a signal that the mode has changed, because your body reads signals a whole lot better than it reads intentions. And that's the airlock you're building. You are building on that purpose, that ramp that nobody ever built for you. And do it before the drink, not instead of, before. If you still want it after, have it. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, this is starting. Now, number 2, ask the question before you pour. Out loud, if you can. Out loud does something that silence doesn't. What am I trying to accomplish right now? That's it. And then answer it honestly. Sometimes the answer is nothing. It's Friday. I want a beer or wine. This is one of those good ones. Great. Genuinely. Great. Have it and enjoy it. But sometimes the answer that comes up is, I'm still vibrating from that call, or I don't want to be that person yet, or if I stop moving, I'm going to feel something I don't want to feel. Naming it doesn't fix it. Naming it does something better. It puts you back in the driver's seat of a thing that has been driving itself for years. You cannot make a choice about something you have never actually looked at or noticed, because half the power of this whole ritual comes from the fact that it happened below the waterline. You never decided to pour. It just happens. The way brushing your teeth is pretty autonomous. Ask the question and it stops happening by itself. Now, number 3, count. For 14 days, notes on your app or on your phone. Nobody sees it, just the number every night before bed. How many drinks? 2, 3, 0, 2. No commentary, no judgment, and no promises. And if you catch yourself writing an explanation next to the number, delete it. Delete the explanation. Just keep the number. And I'll be straight with you about why, because nobody's counting. That's the actual engine of this whole thing. It isn't the alcohol, it's the fog. When you don't count the number, it's just like whatever happened last night. But when you start noticing the count, you get 14 days of data on something you've been essentially running blind for a decade. And some of you are going to look at that list like in 2 weeks and go, that's less than I thought, and fine. I mean, good. That's a real answer. And some of you are going to look at it and you're going to feel your stomach drop. And if that's you, then that feeling is not a verdict on you. It's information you finally have. And that's it. That's what the 3-part process is. Airlock, question, count. And notice what I didn't say. I didn't say pour it out. I didn't say tell your spouse. I didn't say make a vow. Vows are how this ends, in the shame at 5:15 on a Tuesday. And I'm not going to do that to you. You're not taking the breakaway. You're building a second one. And once your body has 2, it gets to choose. And that's the whole game on this whole thing that we're talking about. Choice, not restriction. All right. Same as every week. We finish this together. And just a quick safety note before we do. This is a relaxation and guided imagery exercise. So never do it when you're driving or operating heavy machinery or doing something that requires your full attention. Stay safe. That's the most important part. And then you can come back to it afterwards. And another note, if you have a history of seizures or disassociation or some type of mental health condition, this time just kind of listen, pay attention, to the words instead of, following along. But I would highly recommend you check in with your provider first before you, get into this. And everyone else, this is for you. So enjoy. Okay, now find where you're sitting. Let the chair or the bed take your weight. Let it do what it needs to do. Do the work. You don't have to hold yourself and take a breath in through your nose. Just a little deeper. The last one. And let it go slower than you took it in. Longer out than in. And again, in and out. Slow all the way to the bottom. And one more. On this one, as the air goes out, let your shoulders go with. Good. Now somewhere in your body right now. There's a place that's still holding on to the stick. Might be your jaw, might be the band across the top of your chest, might even be in your hands, or perhaps your shoulder blades. And that's where people hold their stress. Find yours. Don't fix it. Just find it. And breathe out toward it just once, like you're setting something down you've been carrying in that one spot. That's it. Let it go. Now, I want you to notice something. Nothing came out of a bottle just now. Nothing was poured. Nothing was measured. And it came down anyway. Maybe a little. Maybe just an inch. But so. Which means break works. It's in there. Has been in there the whole time. Your body never forgot how to do this. Just got out of practice. Because for a long time, something else was doing the job for it. And your body, being very efficient, let it. That's all this was. Practice, not damage. And the more you use it, the easier it goes. That's how every system in our body works. The thing you do is stronger. It's not a promise I'm making. It's just how you're built. So tonight, when you come through the door, before anything else, take one long breath out. One. That's all. And your body will start to remember what that means. All right. Let's come back up. I'm going to count from 1 to 5. With each number, we'll come back just a little more. And on 5, you'll be fully alert, fully aware, feeling calm and refreshed. 1, awareness, move back into the room. 2, notice the sounds around you. 3, feel the surface beneath you, supporting you. 4, take a deep breath. You have to stir your abs, your ribs, wiggle your fingers and your toes. And 5, eyes open, fully aware, fully awake, feeling refreshed and good, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, eyes wide open, fully awake and fully aware. And welcome back. So, how did that feel? I bet you didn't know your body still had it in you to do that. And if something in this one landed a little too accurately, if you were nodding along in a way you weren't expecting, then that's worth paying attention to. That's the work I do. Not willpower, not lectures, but building the break. So that's the thing. You've been literally learning that stops, especially the load bearing. So visit me at calmopshypnosis.com. The first conversation is free. It's a phone call and it's just a conversation. Nobody's signing you up for anything. And if you're close enough to come visit me here in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, I've got a zero gravity chair with vibroacoustics, which is something that's very different from most hypnotherapists out there. And it puts your body into a relaxation mode, and it's something that I do, and I highly recommend it if you can actually get here. And if you can't, then Zoom works just as well. No pressure, no fuss, no muss. And if you're not ready for any of that, you don't want to try it out, that's not a big deal. At least let me send you away with something that I can give you to help you. So same as last week, I made you a free card, and this one's the airlock, question and count thing that we talked about earlier. And it's a 1-page thing that you can print, stick on your fridge, or keep it in your car, at work, or wherever you'll see it to be able to kind of practice those mindset reframes. So same place as last week, go to calmopshypnosis.com in my podcast area and just drop your email. And what I'll do is I'll send it right over, give you any publications or any type of marketing or anything, just give it to you right then and there. You don't have to talk to anyone and use it. So next week, we're going to be talking about the 3 a.m. thing. The one that I mentioned earlier, and why you wake up exactly at that time every single night. Why your brain reaches straight for the worst possible thought or scenario, and what actually your brain does at 3:14 when you're just staring at the ceiling. And if you have ever been awake in that particular hour, then next week is going to be your topic. And if you know somebody who needs to hear this, then by all means, send them the link, that way they can benefit from this too. So as per usual, you're not alone, not in this. Be good to yourself. And until next time.